Transport Animal Rule 1978, these are transport rules. Transport Animal Rule 2009, Amended Rule 2001, On-Foot Transport Animal Rule 2001, 11th Amendment Rule 2015 under the Central Motor Vehicle Act, and 13th Amendment Rule 2016. In a brief, I'll discuss these rules. The most extensive is the Transport of Animals Rule 1978, framed under Section 38 of the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals Act 1960. And this rule has got 75 rules, sub-rules you can say, 1 to 75. It has got 6 chapters. So first chapter is having only definition and short title. Short title is Transport of Animals Rule 1978. Definitions are qualified veterinary doctor having degree of 5 years. Schedule bole to on which format we shall be issuing the fitness to move certificate. Those are the schedules designed under these rules. Chapter 6 is important. That talks about the transport of sheep and goats. So chapter 6 is having rule number 64 to rule number 75. There are 11 rules with regards which are dealing with the transport of sheep and goat. If anybody is saying that it is rule 64, that means the 1978 rule is talking. Rule 1 to rule 75, they are covered under 1978 transport of animals rules. So that we have to have the basic idea about. And our sheep are covered from rule number 64 to rule number 75. This is the Transport of Animal Rule 1978, Chapter 6, Transport of Sheep and Goat. Rule number 64 says that if sheep and goat are being transported by a vehicle, and if the journey is less than 6 hours, these rules shall not be applicable. That means for short transportation, short visits, we are not required to issue the fitness to move certificate. Secondly, Rule 65A, B, and C says that veterinary doctor has to see the fitness of the animal and he has to issue the fitness to move certificate that has been prescribed in the schedule under these rules for sheep and goat. This is Rule 65. Rule 66 has got 3 parts, A, B, and C. A says that whenever the consignment is being transported, consignment of animals, the consignment, that means truck, must have displayed in a prominent way the name and address and phone number of the consigner and consignee, who is sending the animals, who is going to receive the animals. And the person who is going to receive the animals must get advance information. And as soon as the consignment is booked by the transporter, he has to immediately start the transportation. He has not to delay and detain the transportation. That is Rule 66. 67A says there must be a first aid box, first aid equipments in the vehicle where the animals are being transported. There must be proper ramps for loading and unloading of the animals. And 67C says that when the animals are being transported through train, the railway wagon doors should be dropped and can be used as a ramp. If this facility is not available, then you have to ensure that there are proper ramps. Animals are not pushed to jump out of the wagons. Rule 68 of the Transport Animal Rule 1978 under Chapter 6 says that sheep and goat are to be transported separately. They cannot be transported together. And if they are being transported together, then there must be proper partition between sheep and goat. And Rule 69 says that rams and young males should not be mixed together with the female animals in the same partition. That is Rule 69. Rule 70 says that there should be proper arrangement for food, fodder, and drinking water at proper regular interval during the transportation. And the bedding inside the truck or inside the train in which the animals are being transported, it must be having thickness of at least 5 centimeters. And Rule 72 says that legs of the animals should not be tied down to protect them from jumping out of the vehicle. That arrangement should be made, but legs should not be tied down. Rule 73 is very important, and Rule 73 in 2009, only this Rule 73 has been amended. So I have covered 2009 rules in the same table. In 1978, there were only provision for the transport of the animals up to 30 kg and above 30 kg. In 2009, one more category, 30 to 40 kg, above 40 kg has been included. You can see how much space per animal to be provided during the transportation by the vehicle or by the train. That says that almost same space is to be provided to the vehicle. Minimum space is 0.17 square meter. If you multiply it by 10.74, so we get around 2 square foot per animal. That is minimum space to be provided to each animal having less than 20 kg body weight. And if the animal is having body weight above 40 kg, then 0.32 square meter space is to be provided. That means if you can multiply this thing with 10.74, you get around 3.5 square foot. So that means that whenever you see sheep and goat are being transported, minimum space for the small animals should be at least 2 square foot per animal. Maximum space per animal should be around 3.5 square foot per animal. So that is the thumb rule. Then if you are doing transportation by railway wagon, so we have got 3 sorts of railway in our country. One are broad gauge, one are meter gauge, one are narrow gauge. In broad gauge, if wagon is less than 21.1 square meter, then you can have 70 animals, 70 sheep or goat in the wagon. And if the wagon is having space more than 21.1 square meter, you can have 100 sheep and goat. If it is a meter gauge, and if it is less than 12.5 square meter, the wagon's floor area, you can have 50 animals. And if the floor area is more than 12.5 square meter, you can have 60 animals. And if it is narrow gauge, in the wagon, you can have maximum 20 animals. 74B says that there should be proper arrangement for the ventilation and there should be proper arrangement for the safety, fire safety during the transportation. 75, 1, 2, and 3, that is the last rule under the 1978 Transport of Animals rules. That is rule 75, it's the last rule. So this has got 3 parts. First part is describes that if the vehicle, it is a small size truck having capacity more than 4.5 ton, it can have maximum 40 sheep and goat. And if the truck is quite large, it is large goods vehicle having 10 tires or maybe 6 tires, a big size truck having a capacity of 9 ton. So those trucks must have partition across on the floor in the gap of 2 to 3 meters. Partition in the width. So that whenever the driver is going to put brake, animals, they don't get pushed towards front. And whenever driver suddenly picks the vehicle, starts the vehicle, they don't get pushed towards back. So the animals get proper protection. That's why in the gap of 2 to 3 meters, there should be proper partition across the width if the vehicle is large enough. For small trucks having less than 4.5 ton, these sort of partition may not be required. But for large goods vehicle having more than 2 or 3 meters of the length, across the width, they are required to have these sort of partitions. Then there should be separate panels for the ewes and lambs or goats and kids. That means mama and baby, so there should be separate panels inside the truck. They cannot be transported along with the rams or bucks or those sort of animals. Then 2001 amended rule for the transport of animals. In 2001, chapter 9 is about miscellaneous rules. So chapter 9 has got 3 rules, 96, 97, and 98. These rules are implemented on sheep and goat. Rule 96 says that district veterinary officer or CBO shall provide a certificate that all the legal provisions designed by central government or state government or by local government with regards to transport of animals have been fulfilled. So that certificate is to be issued by the district veterinary officer. And consigner will not accept the consignment until Rule 96 certificate is issued by the district veterinary officer or the director of the concerned district or the chief veterinary officer of the concerned district. But so now we have to be sure that we require 2 sort of certificates. Under 1978 rules, Rule 65 to 75, we were required to have fitness to move certificate issued by your veterinary doctor. And this second certificate, that is Rule 96 certificate, to be issued by the chief veterinary officer or district veterinary officer. That means for transport of every animal, we are required to have 2 types of certificates. One issued by the veterinary doctor under 1978 rules, another issued by the district veterinary officer under Rule 196. All the rules beyond 76 to 98, all these rules have been designed in 2001. So secondly, Rule 97 says that if there is contravention of this legal provision, particularly fitness move certificate by a veterinary doctor under 1978 rules and Rule 96 certificate issued by district veterinary officer, then a police has to stop the vehicle midway and confiscate the animals and present to them to magistrate and give the custody to the animal organization or the Kanji house or Kaushala shelter, or until finally the custody is to be decided by the magistrate. But temporary custody can be handed over by the police to the local animal organization or infirmary or Kaushala or Kanji house or SPC center. That is the law of the land, Rule 97(2). Then Rule 98 is very important. Rule 98 gives the basic precaution while this transportation of animal is to be done. It says that veterinary doctor has to evaluate the fitness of the animal and nature and duration of the journey and degree of fitness of the animals. On that basis, he has to provide fitness to move certificate under Rule 1978. Under Rule 1978 of the Transport of Animals. Unfit animals like newborn animals or sick animals or blind animals or emaciated animals or lame animals or fatigued animals or animals who got birth just last 72 hours, those mothers and babies shall not be allowed for transportation. Similarly, pregnant animals likely to give birth soon or very young animals, they shall also not be allowed for transportation. Then different class of animals shall be transported separately. Diseased animals shall not be mixed with other animals. Troublesome animals will be given tranquilizers. And before transportation of the animals, 7 days prior to transportation, there will be on-farm social grouping of the animals. That means those animals are to be kept together for 7 days so that those animals which are likely to get transported together, they are well acquainted with each other. They are able to recognize each other. That is very important. This is the Transport of Animal Certificate under Rule 1978 of the PCA Act. This is the performer. Then we get Transport of Animals on Foot Rule 2001. It has got 14 rules. Animal has been defined as livestock, and livestock has been defined as cattle or equines or horses or goat or ruck or kid or nanny or ewe sheep. These rules shall be applicable where on foot transport of the animals is being done beyond 5 kilometers from the start of journey. And if animal is being transported by the owner of the animal, Schedule 1, on Schedule 1, fitness to move certificate shall be issued by the veterinary doctor, not by the district veterinary officer, by the veterinary doctor. And if animal is not being transported by the owner, it is being transported by somebody else, then certificate will be issued on Schedule 2 by the veterinary doctor. Rule 5 says, again as 1996 rules, again as a 2001 rule, Rule 98, say the same. Newborn animals, unfit animals, animals having unhealed navel, sick animals, blind animals, emaciated animals, fatigue animals, having given birth last 72 hours, newborn babies, they shall not be allowed for transportation. Again, on farm social grouping of the animals, same clause is there, 7 days prior. Then first aid box should be there while on foot transportation of the animals. If animal is not being transported, Rule 8 says, transported by the animal owner, Rule 8 says that Schedule 2 certificate will be given by the veterinary doctor. There should be proper watering arrangement during the transport of the animals. There should be proper feeding arrangement during the transport of the animals. Whip should not be used while the transportation. Animals should not be tied, nose should not be tied, legs should not be tied by the animals. Only neck can be tied by the rope, but rope should be covered with the proper cushioning of the cloth. That says. And 2 animals cannot be tied together. And if 2 animals can be tied together, not more than 2, and if they are tied together, they must have the same physical strength. And the maximum length of that rope connecting both animals should not be more than 2. Should be 2 feet, at least 2 feet. That much space should be there in the rope. Then this is the Rule 12.1 that says that before sunrise and after sunset, animals cannot be transported on foot. And the permissible distance for various animals in different age group is different. For sheep, I'll just put focus on 30 kilometers per day. A sheep and goat can be transported per day on foot, 4 kilometers per hour, maximum 8 hours a day. Drinking facility at every 2 hours, feeding facility at every 4 hours. Temperature should have range of 12 degree to 30 degree. Early morning or extreme temperature should not be exposed. And lambs will be permitted less to be transported. That means only 16 kilometers a day, 2.5 kilometers per hour, 6 hours a day. Lambs should be provided drinking water at every 1.5 hours, every 90 minutes, and feeding facility for every 3 hours. And the temperature range is just 15 to 25 degree. That means lower limit is 3 degree more and higher limit is 5 degree less for the lambs and kids. So here we have to focus. Then Rule 12, 1, 2, 3, they say that under the extreme climatic condition, heavy rains, thunderstorms, extreme dry and hot climate, humid climate, animals should not be transported. And police constable under Rule 14 says the police constable may ask any animal owner to be investigated and to be taken to the nearby magistrate. That Rule 14 describes. These are the 14 rules for the transport of animals on foot. Then we will discuss the motor vehicle, 13th and 15th Amendment rules. The rules were framed in 1st January 2016. They are implemented and enforceable. First rule, that is 2015 13th Amendment rule for the Motor Vehicle Act. This rule says that while the transport of animals by the vehicles, per animal for sheep and goat, there must be 0.3 square meter. This is the minimum space that must be provided to each animal while transport of these animals. Let me tell you this thing, that we have got 2009 rules under the PCA Act that also provides the minimum space required to be given to every animal. So we have to see that as a thumb rule for sheep and goat, if you go, so it is same. There it was around 0.32 to 0.35 square meter. That means 3.5 square foot per animal for sheep and goat. Same here has also been recommended. 0.3 square meter. If you multiply 0.3 square meter with 10.7 foot, you will get around 3.5 square foot per animal. So same space has been recommended in both the rules, in our 2009 amendment and in this 2015 the rules under the Motor Vehicle Act. This space will be provided. Rule 3 under this 2015 rules says that the vehicle that has been registered for that must be properly modified, and that shall be given license by the RTO, and this vehicle cannot be used for transport of other goods. That will be only dedicated for the transport of the animals only. This was the 2015 rules that started implementing from 1st January 2016. There was representation by the farmers and some of the transporters, and then Government of India reconsidered these rules and revisited these rules, and in 15th Amendment in 2016 was given by Government of India, Transport Ministry, Service and Transport Ministry, Government of India, and it has been amended that the vehicle can be used for transport of other goods, but animals should not be there in the vehicle. That means when the animals are being transported by the vehicles, other goods will not be put in the vehicle, and when the other goods are being put on the vehicle, the animals should not be there in the vehicle. So that has been amended, and there is one more amendment in these 2016 rules on the transport of Motor Vehicle Transport Act. This says that this is 15th Amendment. Rule 4 says that these rules shall not be applicable for the animal farmers. That means if animal farmer is doing transportation of the animals, because our rules were saying that if the transportation of sheep and goat is less than 6 hours by the vehicle, rules shall not be applicable. But these motor vehicle rules will be applicable even if journey is less than 6 kilometers. If the animals are being transported by the trucks or by the vehicle, then these rules shall be applicable. But here's exemption has been given to animal farmers. That means these are the people who often transport animals for journey less than 6 hours. The same thing that our rule was prescribing theirs in 1978 rule of prescribing theirs, same has been is being prescribed in the 15th Amendment rules under the Motor Vehicle Act. Thank you very much.